Hello. Welcome to another odd-numbered uh, lesson where we explore the basics. So I'm going to take some time out from exploring the keywords of Yab and talk a bit about what we do when we've finished a program. Well, program's never really finished, is it? But let's say that it is. You're happy to let it go. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the even-numbered programs, but we have been tinkering with one of the example programs that comes with Yab. And originally, it looked like that. So this is just running as a piece of source code. You can have a look at it. And when you run that, you see that on your desk bar, there is now Yab is running, and it lists all its windows. Okay, let's close this down. And so if you have 6 Yab programs running, there will be Yab and the 6 programs. We want to make this standalone program that you can just put anywhere and click on, that you can put in an H package. So what have we done to this thing? What does it look like now? Right, always sits here. It's got a blue background, white text, visible on all workspaces. Okay, so that looks quite different. I'm not quite done with it yet. Got some other ideas for it. But let's leave that for now. How do I take that and make it a standalone program? In other words, compile it. That's a big word. Don't worry about it. Well, in Yab, we actually have 2 ways to do this. One is by now a bit antiquated. But you can still do it if you want to. Let's explore that first. Now, terminal. All right. And there we go. So it's Yab -bind. That's the command that you give it. Then what you want to call it in the end, and the source file that you want to call. It can be more complicated, but there we go. Okay, let's run that. So now what we're doing, we're taking that piece of source code and we're tying it up with the Yab program itself, or part of it anyway. Oh, that was quick. And if we right click on that, we see that that is a little executable. How big is it? 272.48 kilobytes. That's a 70-line source code and 270 kilobytes. Still, let's run it. Doesn't work. Okay. Let's get the info, permissions. It's not executable. And there it is, it's running. And now you can see, instead of Yab, it says clock. And it is not, however, in our recent applications. So let's quit it. And this time we doesn't have a signature, doesn't have any application. So let's make this a single launch. Nope, that doesn't work. Let's try something else. Okay, so, oops, sorry. So, we need to put a signature in this thing. Let's see what we can find. Right, so if we look at existing apps on our system, this one for example, you see that it has a signature. Okay, so let's take this pattern and call this Yab clock. Save it. Now does it work? Yep, it does. And now it should, there. It now appears in the recent applications. Okay, so that's binding. But we remember that number, 272 kilobytes. Now let's try something else. Let's use the bsly build factory. All right, we can drop the file here and we can change this. I'm calling it Yab clock because clock is probably used already. And create. And this is a slower business, although this file is not very big. You see there's a temporary file being created there. Now, the build factory does much the same thing as binding, really. But it is more efficient. We now have a look at this one. 151 kilobytes. So that's about 60% of the one that we got when we bound it. Well, that's worthwhile. Let's see if it works. Yep, works straight away. Yeah, and another way to get at the build factory and the binding for that matter is to run the IDE and I've already got it loaded, And there you will see you can bind it from here, or you can access the build factory from there. This one looks slightly different. This is the original build factory rather than the B-Sly version. Okay, we're not going to do this again. So we've now got a working program. It's an executable. You can zip it up and send it to your friends. You can put it in an H package. There's something missing, something missing. What is missing? Yes, an icon. Well, let's see what we can do about that. All right. Now, one way is to find the old BOS icons, which you'll find on bshare, hundreds of packages, and they still work. But let's be a little more up to date about it. So, on your Haiku setup, there's a program called Iconomatic. And I haven't done a review of that in my other channel yet, but it's the one thing in Haiku that I really, really, really don't like. Now, that's me. I'm really bad at vector drawing programs. You know, what can I say? However, there's a way around that. From this website, I downloaded an SVG icon. And SVG icons you can import into Iconomatic. Okay, and now we have to do something very counterintuitive. Right. What was it? Export. Alright. First we get our program, and then here, BOS icon attribute. I don't know why they haven't made it Haiku icon attribute yet, but and every time you think I'm going to overwrite my program, but no, it's still a program, it still works, but it now has an icon, which we can see, and it's a vector icon. There you go. And we might as well make this single launch. Right, let's close that down, see if it still works. Yep, there it is. And so that's how you make a single program, an executable from your Yab script. Now if we have a quick look, let's open a terminal here and see what are its dependencies. And that's just a script I've made. You can find it on my main repo website. I haven't actually loaded it on here. Yeah. Okay, we go the wrong way, the long way around. How did that work again? I think it's like this. There you go. Okay, libe, libroot, libtranslation, libtracker, those are all standard pretty standard haiku libraries, but this one here, libyab, right? So anybody who wants to run this program will need a Yab installation. Just that, just the Yab main program. Not the IDE, not the build factory, not the documentation, just Yab. Which with the packaging program is not all that hard. Now, it used to be the case. Let's make, let's call it clock 2. All right. And now, it used to be the case that if you bound a program, it had everything and you didn't even need a Yab installation. So let's see if that's still true. No, it isn't. Now, I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago now. Right, so if you're putting this in an H package, you put in Yab as your dependency. Otherwise, you just have to tell people, install Yab before you run this program. That's just how it is these days. Okay, so next week we'll be going back to the regular slog of exploring the Yab basics.